So I saw that new video where Hugo Martin did a playthrough of Marscore and he hinted a new enemy, which honestly, it doesn't sound like a great enemy to me. And I kind of wanted to make this video mostly about Doom Eternal's mechanics because, my god, some of the stuff that this enemy has is just kind of AIDS to me. Now, let me just talk about Doom Eternal's core mechanics from the base campaign standpoint. I understand they wanted to change a lot of the stuff from 2016 to keep it fresh and not so samey, and I think they did it really well with Eternal's base campaign. However, the more I play Eternal, the more I always get this feeling that Eternal is just trying to be complicated for the sake of, being complicated. Which to me, in the Doom game, it feels off. I've always loved the simplicity of classic Doom, and there is still that same sense of simplicity in Doom 2016, but I cannot say the same for Doom Eternal. And ever since the Ancient Gods started to expand more of Eternal's mechanics, I do feel like my theory is starting to become more true. I couldn't stand a lot of the forced mechanics that Ancient Gods offered, like being able to force yourself to use the microwave beam on the spirits, headshot weapons on turrets and bloodmakers. Doom Eternal's base campaign is kind of guilty of this in the early stages, forced to use a sticky bomb to prioritize the Cacodemons, forced to use the cue balls on Cultist base, or taking advantage of the traps to get rid of the fights. But I forgive it because it's just the early levels, and when you get around Doom Hunter base, you get more freedom in how you play. There were also some other things I didn't like about Ancient Gods, which is the heavier emphasis on slowing the player's movement, like the Bloodmaker's heavy attack, the environmental plants on Blood Swamps, stuff like that. But, despite of all the problems I had with Ancient Gods, I still enjoyed the DLC. It was basically still more Doom Eternal, gameplay, done in a late game styled structure, and it was a lot of fun. It's very action packed, and yeah, it still kind of has some of that core Doom Eternal mechanics from the base campaign that I enjoy. But at the same time, I've also been playing Doom 2016 back and forth with Eternal, and I miss the core gameplay mechanics of Doom 2016 so much. I don't know how to describe it. It's just this really fast and free flowing feel to it when you play the game. You don't really have to wait for a certain enemy to do an attack to disrupt that flow. You just run around the arena, learn the item placements, and you kill the demons before they kill you, and it's just great. It's just freaking great. I really miss the combat structure of 2016. While Eternal definitely has the better campaign and a lot of its core design, I just miss 2016's mechanics so much. And I personally think the mechanics make 2016's campaign more fun to play in general. You can argue that Doom 2016 might be an easier game to play. I personally believe that for sure, but I'd argue that in Eternal there were some things that do make Eternal easier to play, like regenerating your health and armor is way more forgiving in Eternal versus 2016's Siphon Grenade, where that thing is nowhere near as good as freezing a large amount of demons and flame belching them to get your stack back. But I'll try not to get into an argument of which game's mechanics I, personally think is better from a very, analytical standpoint, because I do believe Eternal did fix some of the problems of 2016's problems from its mechanics. The runes are much more balanced in Eternal. The imps are no longer ridiculous to fight, and so on. Maybe I'll save a video on that for a later date. But I think there's no debate that Eternal is a more complicated Doom game compared to the previous Dooms. It constantly wants you to dash, flame belch, manage your resources, quick switch weapons for certain situations, and this new enemy is just silly. The fact that this enemy is a living buff totem if I disrupt it, it just doesn't feel Doom to me. It's, and it's also another enemy that encourages this forced mechanic design that Eternal has been embracing since its inception. I'm really hoping there's new enemies in the DLC that just allow me to play how I really want to play. If you ask me of what is the best enemy that Eternal has offered out of its new enemy sandbox, I'm gonna say it's the Doom Hunter. He's an enemy that really encourages you to play however you want. You can freeze bomb him, blood punch him, use plasma gun to get rid of his shield and lock on rockets him, or just focus on his sled by using long range weapons. That's what I mean. There's a lot of ways to handle him. But yeah, this new enemy, I'm not looking forward to it, and I never ever believed in a Doom game I need to keep a certain demon alive rather than prioritizing it before it becomes a problem, but oh well. We'll see how annoying the Screecher is in Ancient Gods Part 2. And by the way, what are your guys' opinion on the Screecher?